Well, good morning, good afternoon, or good night, and welcome to another edition of our daily devotionals. I'm Pastor Brian, and I thank you for joining me again. I want to dive right into the chapter in John's book. If you want to walk on water, you've got to get out of the boat. Today is a chapter that speaks to me, and it's not very fun, but it's very necessary. I don't even know what the animal is, but I liked his expression of surprise in getting his photograph taken there. And then, of course, you said, take up lacrosse and follow you. Now what? That was pretty good, too. Not as fun as my oil boil joke Sunday morning, but close. You'll have to join us next Sunday if you didn't get that oil boil joke and see what you're missing. 10 a.m. We're there. Love to see you there, too. Today's chapter. Water walkers accept fear as the price of growth. Fear, something we don't talk much about. I love this quote by Bear Grylls. I hope it's attributed to him. It's on the internet, so it's got to be true, right? Anyway, I like the quote. Being brave isn't the absence of fear. It's having that fear, but finding a way through it. We're pretty fear adverse. If something scares us or we're worried about it, then we usually don't want to do it. We like safety. We like comfortable. We like knowing what's happening next. Nothing wrong with safety, comfort, and knowing what's happening next, but it doesn't lead to a lot of growth and change. And that definitely speaks to the culture we live in today, where it's all confirmation bias, where I only read and believe things that already speak to what I know and believe to be true. Anything that were to challenge that is fake, or I don't believe it, or it's made up. It's not truth. Only what I believe is truth. Because having and growing, or having your beliefs challenged and growing and learning, is hard and can be fearful. And we don't like to do that. We like comfort. And that leads to some of the positions that we're in today, where I'm the only one that's right. I have the only avenue of truth. The only set of facts that are true are the facts that I believe. And that's not healthy for anybody, especially if you want to follow Jesus, because Jesus talked about learning and growing and following and doing what he teaches. It can be a little scary. Let's see if what I'm blabbing on about makes any sense. The choice to follow Jesus, the choice to grow, is the choice for the constant reoccurrence of fear. The choice to follow Jesus, the choice to grow, is the choice for the constant reoccurrence of fear. John says you've got to get out of the boat a little bit each day. The disciples got in the boat, faced the storm, see the water walker, and are afraid. Don't be afraid, Jesus says. Peter then girds up his loins, asks permission to go overboard, sees the wind, and is afraid all over again. Don't be afraid, Jesus says. Do you think that's the last time in Peter's life he's going to experience fear? Here's the deep truth about water walking. The fear will never go away. Why? Because every time I want to grow, it will involve going into new territory and taking on a new challenge. Anytime I do that, I will experience fear. The fear will never go away as long as I continue to grow. John says, never? Isn't that great news? But now you can give up trying to make fear go away. Fear and growth go together like macaroni and cheese, peanut butter and jelly, love and marriage, as Al Bundy once famously said. The decision to grow always involves a choice between risk and comfort. This means that to be a follower of Jesus, you must renounce comfort as the ultimate value of life. And that's sobering news to most of us because we're into comfort. The 11 disciples could be called boat potatoes. They didn't mind watching, but they didn't actually want to do anything. Millions of people in churches these days could be called pew potatoes. They want some of the comfort associated with spirituality, but they don't want to risk and challenge that go along with actually following Jesus. But Jesus is still looking for people to get out of the boats. Pew potatoes. I like that. They want some of the comfort associated with spirituality, but they don't actually want to do any growing or do anything. Because doing, growing, learning requires some fear requires some sticking your neck out there. It might require you reading a website that you would not consider reading to get your source of news. Looking at the other side, maybe saying, oh, there might be truth there. What have I always said to my boys? Well, you wouldn't know. You're not my boys. I always try and teach them that the truth is somewhere in the middle. I don't know how many times we've come home on a car ride from a football game, a basketball game, something happening at school, and mostly Isaac, because he's a bit older. Alex isn't too worried about this yet, but he'll talk about some story going on at school. Some kid said this about that, and it can be a current news event. It can be just a rumor flying around the school. It can be anything. And I always listen, and we always say, yeah. I says, but that's one side of the story. There's always another side. No matter how clear the facts might seem, and it may be pretty black and white and laid out, but there's always another side, and the truth is usually somewhere in the middle. And when we have lost that ability, that has flown directly out the window. It's either this side or that side. There is no middle or compromise. You either believe what I believe or you're wrong. And there is no changing my mind. That's why I chuckle when I see all those Facebook posts about politics, anything. I suppose I'm guilty of posting them too. Have you ever read one of those and changed your mind about something? Maybe. Probably not. But an honest conversation with a friend or someone you respect? How about Jesus challenging the way we behave? That quote about pew potatoes. We really like to say we're a part of a church, to be involved to a certain degree, but if you ask or you challenge me too much on what I believe or how I'm acting or aren't acting, I might just pack up and leave because I don't want to be challenged. I want to be comforted. There's a wonderful book, I believe it's by Peter Gomes, The Scandalous Gospel of Jesus, and I haven't read it for a long time, but it talks about if you truly follow what Jesus teaches, it's fairly scandalous. And that whole love your enemy, love your neighbor, love God is kind of the three. You know, love God, love your neighbor as yourself. And he talks about loving your enemies. Yeah, Jesus was a bit of a rebel. But he talked mostly about loving those that we would feel are beneath us. And he talks about giving your life to follow me. And he talks a lot more about how we should be living now than he talks about getting us into heaven when we die. And that can be challenging because we like our comfort, we like our things, we like our lifestyle. If you challenge me to help others or maybe to give up some of that comfort and lifestyle so others can get a taste, a little bit of it, that gets hard and it's scary to do. Or if you challenge me to actually do something in the church rather than just come on Sundays and drop something in the offering plate, then that gets difficult too. Because I just like to say I'm a part of it, but I don't want to wade too far in. Surely don't want to take the step of trying to walk on water. That'd be unbelievable. I mean, who, me? I'm just me. Well, there's a quote in here where he talks about, I may be small potatoes, Lord, but this spud's for you. I like that. If you truly want to follow Jesus and become deeper involved, you have to say yes and get out of the boat. Both choices, risk and comfort, tend to grow from habit. Each time you get out of the boat, you become a little more likely to get out the next time. You're used to living with fear. On the other hand, every time you resist the voice, every time you choose to stay in the boat rather than heed its call, the voice gets a little quieter. And eventually, you won't hear it at all. Habit. Are you listening? Are you following that voice more often than not? Or is it always, no, I'm just comfortable and fine right where I am. Safe inside the boat. I don't want any other of that experience. But if I need you, God, you be there at the drop of a hat. It's kind of the way it works, isn't it? I don't want to do too much for you, but if I need you, you be there. We need to step out of the boat at all times. Be willing to risk it to get the biscuit. Thank you. I'm done.